Back to the podcast. Today, we are going to talk about values as you practice energy work because values actually guide the direction of your expansion. They can also actually have a negative effect. What I have found when I was first getting started doing energy work and I was seeing clients and I was practicing Reiki and people around a table, I remember feeling guided very strongly when I was allowing myself to be present and in flow and allowing myself to what I didn't know at the time was really co-creating with spirit or source energy. Things Amazing things happened and took place, and amazing messages came through for clients. And I felt so good afterwards. I remember, I'd get off of work in tech and I would go to these sessions and, I'd look tired and exhausted, but I loved doing energy work. And after the sessions, I felt so vibrant and I looked vibrant. And that's because energy was being run for me as well as the client. I want to make it very, very clear when you set up any type of energy work whatsoever, you need to know what your energy is doing. Because otherwise, you could be absorbing someone's energy or worse yet, accidentally taking their energy. And that is, okay. So, in my 15 plus years of doing this, when I look back on the different values I've developed through my practice, I wanted to share those with you here. So, one of my favorites is actually curiosity. And this has served me so well because as humans, we want to know the right answers, we want to know the right path. And when you are holding the light and you are doing energy work with someone else, you don't have the answers ahead of time. Spirit wants you to be present in the moment, caring for yourself, and then in return, co creating with the person. This is really important with the person and with spirit and you. So, having a curiosity has really helped me evolve, getting through some of those very human mind barriers. Okay, this is another value, not putting my position or opinion or experience onto a client in our session. I've had many practitioners do this to me, and this is actually where I learned this very valuable lesson in that when when we're in flow with spirit, when I don't teach channeling, I teach intuiting messages via holding the light modality. And when that flows through you, what comes through surprises you. It teaches you. I learned so much throughout this process. Are you kidding me? And this part's really key because we do not want to instill our own limited experiences onto our clients. One of the ways I work through this is when I do have an opinion or a thought, or sometimes spirit gives very advanced responses to people, and I'll raise my hand. I'll be like, hey, I go fellow human to human real quick. This is big, or this is tough, or whatever. Or I'll tell them, do you mind if I tell you a story or an anecdote or what's worked for me? So I get their permission. And I let them know, like, this is me versus the guides. And that part's really important. The other thing that is one of my values and that I teach is our job is to stay present. I have a notepad with me in sessions because I'm so present with clients. I won't remember some of the things that spirit's dropping in while they're sharing. So I'll have to write down a couple of words so that I remember to go back to what the guides just dropped in because I am so present. It's very different than listening. So in my personal life, I'll interrupt my friends. Not all the time. I'm really working on it. Or I'll, whatever. And it's so funny because yet when we're in a session, it's not the same. It's not about that. So staying present. The other piece is it will not be perfect. And I think people want their lives to be set up perfectly. They want to feel 100% confident before going in and doing energy work. And that's just not how it works. When you have the curiosity and you know that it is by practicing that you're going to learn, evolve, and grow, things really begin to shift. And we have grace. Spirit gives us grace to learn as we go. And there have been times in sessions where I've messed up or I've screwed up, and afterwards I've gone to my spirit guides. I'm like, shoot, I don't think I should have done that. And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh God, what about the client? That's the first thing I'm worried about because like I would never want my work to negatively impact someone else or my choices to negatively impact somebody, especially in session. And one of the things the guides have showed me, because I set up energy containers and I teach people how to set up an energy container, and they are buffering. They are taking care of the client. Now, this doesn't mean that like words or something don't still have an impact, but all of this is for the greater lesson and the greater good. And of course, I learn and I evolve and grow. We are given grace. Now, if I were to keep making those mistakes, knowing better, that would be a little bit different. Based on my experience, I actually think my intuitive abilities would be turned down. I don't think spirit would flow messages through me as much as they do, or insights or whatever, if I were to start to use my ego to navigate this. So, oh, man, doing really solid energy work is just about letting go of your ego. That's it. That's it. That's the name of the game, period. And just being smart with your energy, the way you're smart with your body. You strap a seatbelt on, you want to be smart when you're doing energy work. Okay. I am open to feedback from my guides and spirit team, and I will, with clients who I see who are showing up, who are doing the work, they're the ones I will trust for feedback too. I'll say, is there anything else that could make this experience better? Or if we're in session, that's more for, like longer containers. Or if we're in session, I'll just, I'll do my best to interpret things because no matter what, everything goes through the human filter, period, end of story. So I'll even ask a client, does that make sense? Do we want to ask more questions? And I have this process of what I'll ask them so that we can make sure they're still in their power, feeling true and aligned with what it is they're meant to bring forward, with what it is they're meant to experience. Or do they have clarity on what their spirit guide said? Do they want more information? Does it feel empowering? Because if it doesn't feel empowering, we're off track. Okay. And that is I will tell you, that is one of the things I have learned through and through and through. Never once have I ever been in a situation where I was holding the light with a client and the guides didn't offer, yes, sometimes they offer very direct, strong learnings. They always give a path forward and support. Always. They always do. I have been in positions myself where I've been through lessons with my friends who are healers, and it's kind of been where they've had to, because of my higher self and my experience, kind of like leave me hanging a bit. And that built so much self-love and self-trust within myself. So I really love and appreciate that the healers that I've worked with who have had to do that have trusted themselves versus, oh, I hope Emily likes me, or oh, I'm her friend, I feel bad for her. Let me find the positive in all of this. I'm really grateful for that. Really grateful for that. So two things can exist at once. And we also want to remember, too, we're all on different paths with energy work. And my path has been a bit of an extreme. And I don't believe, nor would I want anyone, I wouldn't want this to be the norm for a lot of people, too. So we want to remember that in general, spirit really brings us, helps guide us through things. Okay. The other piece, so we got to remember it won't be perfect. It won't be perfect. And we get to have fun through it. We get to giggle through it. Spirit itself, you guys know when you start chatting with your guides, they're jokesies. Some clients will come to me, they'll be like, oh my gosh, my guides are swearing. Do they swear? I hear that all the time. And I'm like, they do. Because you got to remember, if everything's energy, they may use a word to enunciate an expression or to loosen things up, but like spirit guides will never call somebody, a bad word. That's different. It's different to use swear words to call someone a bad word versus using it as punctuation. I know different people have different opinions on that. You make your own decisions. I don't care. I'm just telling you what I experience in the real world and spirit. And then I have my own personal beliefs on how I use those words or not. Okay. So having fun. And I'm reading my notes here. Oh, this is the other thing. Direct, honest communication. This has been something I've had to learn throughout my lifetime because growing up, my dad was a very direct communicator with me. When I would want to retreat, he would put his hands on his hips and he'd look me square in the eyes and he goes, Emily, we're going to talk about this. And I'd be like, okay. And I'd be crying, crying, crying. And he would just be in his masculine, holding the light, allowing me to cry. He was so kind, so gentle, and we would talk through these things. So I grew up being very comfortable directly communicating with people, and that is not the norm at all. And I have learned and refined it over the years, and it's become one of my love languages because the people who are in my inner circle, they are so like lovingly direct. We are lovingly direct with one another, and I value that immensely, immensely because anyone who's direct with me, they know themselves, and I know that they're sharing what they are because they care. And that's a beautiful thing. And I, excuse me, if someone comes into my practice, I genuinely care about the well-being of them and their container. I I don't sugarcoat things. I want to say I'm not fluffy. I feel like spirit's a little fluffy, honestly. I'll say it. Spirits, I guess that's what it should be though. Optimistic, fluffy, and at the same, actually, okay, I'm like thinking of all these different experiences I've had. But then at the same time, spirit's been so direct as well lately. So yeah, direct is just one of my love languages. It's it's a powerful place to be. There's a previous podcast episode I did here called Healing the Confrontation Wound. And that addresses this. If you're someone who's like, I can't, I get it. Don't worry, don't stress. We're all in process. But I genuinely care about the well being. So if a client comes into my container to practice energy work, their intuitive work, or to grow their business in any way, it's not just an intuitive millionaires. I work with all different types of business owners. And I'll be very direct with them about things. And it's because if you're coming to me to ask my opinion based on my experience, so on the one hand, I hold space for intuitive messages, and then on the other hand, I'll say based on my experience, this, that, or this. Okay. And then they can take it or leave it, right? Because we're all in our power. This doesn't have to mean we have to absorb everything everybody says. Please, which that's the other thing. That's one of my other values. I knew I was forgetting something. It's the number one value I have. We're all empowered in this. We are. No matter how empowered or disempowered you feel, when in my belief is when I'm working with the light, I'm empowered, spirit's empowered, and you are, period. We are all three equal working together on that. So those are the values. Values around energy work. I'm sure 10 years from now, I'll have an even more lengthy list. But for now, that's what that list is. And I would love to hear your feedback. And if you want to learn the modality of how to hold the light, which is how do you congruently do energy work so you feel really, really good in sessions, so clients feel really good in sessions, and also provide intuitive messages with integrity. How do you know the difference between your thoughts, someone else's thoughts? This is a powerful tool you're going to take with you for the rest of your life. This is not, oh, this isn't a party trick, or this is something I'm going to use here and there. You're going to find you integrate this into your day to day. And this program that I have, it's a live program, it's a live training. And when you show up and practice, and you're going to feel kind of vulnerable at times, it's okay. You can read some of the reviews. People will share that they felt vulnerable at first, right? But you're going to work through it and you're going to become very powerful in this. It's a place to build immense self-trust and also bring out your unique energy, which is such a beautiful thing. Such a beautiful thing. I would love to have you in this container. Information's in the show notes. And if you have any questions, you can always find me connect at emilymarie.com. Take care. It has been so great to connect here. If this episode resonated with you, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who you want to have more of these chats with. And as you move throughout your day, remember, your energy is your superpower. As you pay attention to it and trust it, you can watch your entire life begin to transform.